Some of them will have, you can hear that better than that one down there, than this one. Yeah, I came to the Smithsonian in 1962, if you can believe that. My responsibilities here are electrical, they were from the beginning. So telegraphy was the electrical technology of the 19th century, up until power, which came in the late 70s and beyond. So it set the stage really for everything that followed. So it's very interesting, and it's a very simple technology. Morse's idea of code was you have these short and long pulses, and then they'd spell out numbers. So a dot would be 1, 2 dots would be 2. So he spent a lot of time making up a dictionary. So you've got from A to B to C to D, and all through the dictionary, you would have words associated with numbers. And then somebody, whether it was Morse or Vail, said, well, why don't we use letters instead of words? And so we can spell letters with dot for E and dot dash and so forth and so on. One thing that's interesting, you say, why do we collect all these things? They're all the same. And one reason is because they're also different. And
different variations.
Yeah,
Right?
and the reason why they're different, not in principle but in manufacture, is that they're being made by a whole bunch of different instrument makers.
Was it only used by the businesses, or general people could just go and use it quite often as well?
No. It was the practical use, and the really practical use of the telegraph in the early years were things like stock tickers became very important, for use of business communication. Newspapers, very important initial user. Public services, police, fire departments, all we're talking in the 1850s and so forth. Railroad, really important to have a telegraph to let you know that the train has left the station coming the other way on this track. You better wait for it to come by. So all these purposes. It was used somewhat for personal things. Yes, it's expensive, so it's not something you would use without some thinking about it first. But even from across town, I'm late for my appointment, so I can send a messenger, but I can also send a telegram or whatever else. These are, I'd say, for the individual. It's not so much the personal use of the telegraph, except for people, who have money and business reasons for it.
Technology, easy in concept, had this huge impact in our society, and if we can relate it to the communication technologies that we use today.
Yeah. Politically, there's a reason for it. In this country, the importance of keeping Washington in touch with New Orleans and Chicago and so forth. This is, some important to the country. Newspapers are voracious consumers of information by telegraph because, and it's expensive in these early days, but the newspaper can afford it. And the other is the finance and stocks and so forth. To be able to know the price of wool in New Orleans when you're in Britain makes a big difference. I think perhaps the best thing is it's easy to talk about all the wonderful things that the telegraph did, and certainly, as I've mentioned to you before, that especially it was clear to everybody when the prospects came for the underwater cables in the 60s and the prospects of linking Britain and America and elsewhere. This was very exciting. People could understand that. Much more, I think, it's because now they know what the telegraph is. But when the telegraph was first proposed, it was, there was some excitement and so forth, but not the way the cable was. The cable, they know, it's been now a dozen, 10 years, people understood the telegraph, and now all of a sudden I can communicate, or either personally or by newspapers or with across the world. It was very exciting.